This is Gabriel of here, and I'm back with Robbie Thompson. I'm recording in Orange County, California, but my friend Robbie is in Australia. So, Robbie, back into what we are talking about earlier. I wanted to ask you a question about the banking system. Some believe that the banking system itself is just a total farce and that it'll collapse eventually because, for example, that the dollar isn't even based on any real value. Do you think an economic collapse could happen because of the system?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I looked into that a lot a while ago when I was more in the business world, so back in the 2000s. And yeah, it seemed that the banking system is technically based on gold, and the gold vaults are empty. So where did that gold go, right? Uh, some say it's in the Philippines. A lot of the gold got transferred to the Philippines, and that was the big thing about Marcos back in the 80s. Um, and but yeah, I believe what I learned from when I was buying properties is money's just a bunch of zeros. So I back when I was doing property, I used that to my advantage. I bought properties no money down. I took on lots of debt, and back then I lived off the equity of that debt. So the more my properties rose, like the value of the properties rose, I could pull out money for lifestyle as well. Now, that was fun at the time because I was able to eat lots of nice restaurants and that sort of thing, and then technically walk away from the system because now less is more. So if you have no assets, you can't be chased for anything, right? So, but so, and for me, it's more freedom too. So keeping in mind with people to keep in mind that a lot of karmically, if you believe, a lot of people believe this, not trying to push this opinion onto anyone, but a lot of people now realize or believe in them that they've been here many times or been in many souls. Their soul has been in many existences, right? And karmically, what I see with a lot of channels of source and people who are very psychically connected is they say that humans on this earth can often might have to repeat the karmic cycle because they get too attached to things, so their possessions. And what do you see with these wealthy people that everyone up until now used to really look up to and want to be like? They put up larger gates and fences around their property because they're so afraid of anyone coming in and taking what's theirs. And they live a life of fear, don't they? They live a life that if a lot of us had, we wouldn't enjoy at all. Whether you're famous, the paparazzi at you all the time, whether you're, wealthy, everyone wanting to be around you, you're questioning whether they want to be around you for your possessions and your money or because they actually truly like you. And one thing I found is when I went barefoot and lived in the now, so I wasn't worried about storing money or anything anymore. I wasn't worried about I remember in my old business, one time in training, I made $10,000 in training in a week, selling training courses. And the first thing I thought was, how can I make 20,000? So because that's $1 million a year, right? And it was the wrong way of thinking because I wasn't as happy as I am now, just barefoot. And sometimes, if you think about it, sometimes the best memories you have in life is when you were struggling, and it's kind of like life's all about the journey, not the destination, right? So now for me, it's not for everyone, but I love when I'm, you know, in some town I've never been to. I've got no money left, so I pull out my guitar and I get showered with gifts. I found a way to do that. So I think it's more about what's happening at the moment. It's about learning skills to make yourself valuable. So if you do want to go off grid, what I often teach people in our workshops on that of creating community and that sort of thing is a lot of people believe, oh, I need to save $60,000 or $100,000 deposits so I can get a bank loan to buy the acreage of my dreams, or even just a basic acreage so I can live off the grid. And that's the wrong mentality, because within our group, even, there's many people who own their acreages outright who are also struggling because they realized they need community there, and they need skills there, and they need to sustain, they need to create permaculture so they've got food forests. They need help with, say, we're still living in this 3D world, even though some are moving towards the fourth dimension. So, as you said, we still need money, so they need ways of making money. So, what we're teaching people now is how to build those skills to make yourself valuable in a community. And then you don't need money, because you would be accepted into other people's communities. And for myself, I don't really desire to have one home. I love being transient. So it's perfect for me to just go from community to community to help them in the future. But some do desire one home. I know a lot of single mums and single dads, or even families that they desire a home and stability for their children. So yeah, there's a big thing about them realizing, instead of saving all their life for a goalpost that keeps moving, that they're better off developing skills that they can add to an existing community and be welcome there. And in their mind, it's like, oh, but I won't own it. So, I could be moved on at any time. Well, that's what life is. Life is always change. And anyone who thinks they own their property just has to find some natural resource there and know how quickly it gets taken from you, right? In Australia, you don't really technically own anything below the blade of grass anyway. And anyone who believes they own their property, I always say, try stop paying your rates bills or your council charges, for water and that sort of thing. See how long you actually own your property for. So that, again, is a matrix illusion, is the ownership of things, isn't it? So that's why taking that twist on you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, that's actually an inversion of actually what is the truth. The less we have, the happier we are.
Hmm.
Mm.
So if I wanted to go off the grid, and I just said, well, I've had enough of this modern world. I just want to be in nature. I just want to cruise around. I want to, cruise the who knows where. What would you suggest?
I would suggest, again, learning the skills, and when people say what skills, first asking what your heart, for me it was like, and I use this, it's funny, I still use this same thing as when I used to mentor business owners, 10, 20 years ago. They'd want to create a website, and they'd say, oh, I'm creating a website on this. And I say, why? And they say, oh, because that's where the money is. I'm like, not for you. Where's your heart lie? So
Hmm.
for me, and this was a hard one for me, because I always could make great money teaching business and websites, but I also always had this block with music. Like, my music couldn't make me abundance. And
Hmm.
now I've removed that block, and especially being able to go town to town and just pull out my guitar. That's where my heart lies, is sending love. I don't want to play in a pub, because I don't want to play for people who are drunk and in the vibration I used to be in. I want to play for little kids and old people, and send them. Often I'll see people walking past me who are in pain, and I'll send them loving notes. So it's a matter of asking, what did the so for you, Gabriel, what did the 13-year-old or younger Gabriel dream of doing once,
Th-
right? And
This is a
and some,
difficult question. I'd have to
yeah,
think about it. Well, it's very interesting what you say, because I sort of feel that our world is not set up for people just to follow their heart. It seems it's set up to be just like you were saying, sort of mental in the mind, the intellectual, as opposed to where your heart is. You know,
exactly.
right? So it's, I guess what you're saying, and I think it's true, is that all of our society is kind of set upon one thing, which is money. And to make money, you produce all these products, and everybody's producing these products, and in their heart they don't, maybe they don't really care to do it. They just want the money, right? So
Yeah,
it's a society of whatever's where the money lies, not where your heart lies,
definitely.
right?
And
Yeah.
that's a trick that we're taught. Like the stuff we learn in school, a lot of it were lies and created to control us. And so it's getting around that trick that we're taught is, yeah, you have to do this, or you have to work. Another one's work hard for money. Of all the biggest windfalls of money I've ever had, have been the least work often. All right. So with properties, at one property we did, um, it was a cup of tea with an old lady who saw me renovating what she called the ugly old brown house on the hill. And she was so happy to see me renovating that. She wanted me to come visit her house. And she said, we're having a cup of tea and we're just getting to know each other. And she said, I want to move into, I'm building a retirement home that's more suited to my retirement. And I wanted someone I like to buy this property, and I wanted one instance of that was that the graves for my pets over the years, because I've lived here a long time, they weren't disturbed by that owner. And I said, well, I buy properties and I often sell them to another investor, maybe after renting them or maybe straight away. And she said, no, that's not my concern. It's just my concern that the next owner respects that. So whether we think that's a valid concern or not, that's what she had, right? And it's valid for her in her reality. So we got to know each other. We built a rapport, and I said to her, look, I believe I was honest. I said, I believe this property, what's happening is the ripple effect with property. So the suburbs ahead are already gone up. I believe this property will have gone up in 6 months, and I'd like a 6-month settlement with you at this price. And I believe it might have gone up enough so that I make some money. And she said, that's fine. I was honest, right? She said, that's fine. So we made this deal, 6-month settlement. 6 months comes around, the property had gone up from the ripple effect. We made 100 grand straight away by selling it and doing the minorest renovation. It was the smallest renovation I'd ever done. It was just like, I think I paid some painters about $1,000, and then I did a little bit of just touching up some tiles, just fixing, not even a full tiling job. And it was just a weekend of work really for us. And we made 100K profit on that. And that was just by thinking smarter and building rapport with others. So an inversion on what we're told is money and abundance and wealth or whatever you want is created from hard work, when in fact it's not. It's from learning people skills, learning tonality in your voice. Often how you say things is more important than what you say.
Mm.
and it's just like when you lean in and whisper to someone, it really gets their attention. And it's like I'm being told a secret, and there's certain things you can do with tonality that really can create abundance in your life. It's also about, just shining your light to the fullest rather than working hard all your life for a goalpost that always moves away. And what happens, most people work their life for their dream, and then a common phenomena is passing away within a year of retirement because they've conditioned their body so much to this work lifestyle, and then they finally get their money and all that stuff they've saved away on superannuation or whatever you call it in America. And and yeah, that it's an unrealistic dream. Whereas there is only now. It's understanding that we're living in a now state. Like people say tomorrow. Well, when's tomorrow? Is now tomorrow? Is when you get to tomorrow, is it tomorrow? No, it's now. Right? There's always only now. So and when we live in that flow state, it's become quite easy for me. And I believe that's a big shift into the fourth dimension and beyond, is because I've been barefoot and only worrying about the now, not worrying about that, because what are our worries? The
What's the fourth dimension? You can explain that?
The fourth dimension is living in a state of more love, a more flow of nowness, of beingness. When we enter the fourth dimension, it's a state of instant manifestation too. So anything you want, you can pretty much, there used to be with the law of attraction, you might have to wait a few weeks, but once you're truly more in the fourth dimension, you can manifest what you need straight away. And understanding that you just need to be a vibrationary match for what you need or what you like. So
Right.
Yeah, so the thing that keeps people out of that is past traumas, living in the past, which is and worrying about the future. So you've got people who are living in the past, live in trauma state. Like, well, that happened to me, so that's defined my life forever, right? And people who
Right.
live in the future are living in an anxiety state.
Right.
They're constantly worried about what's happening in the future that hasn't even come and never will come, because there is only now. So
Right.
once you get to that state of living in nowness, in flow state, so often people say to me, what town are you playing in today? Well, I don't know. I'll feel it when I get there, right? So sometimes I'll be in one state and I won't feel that, and I'll be in New South Wales and I'll drive to Victoria, another state, and start playing there, and I didn't even know I'd end up there, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, if anyone's interested in checking out what we do, we've got a group called Off Grid Living, Leaving the Matrix on Facebook. There's also I've got a website called awakentheancient.org, which is more the vibrational training and the sound healing practitioners courses we have. And I'd also just like to end with saying, follow your heart. That's the most important thing, is for people to feel, what do I really want to do? Why did I really come here? And it might not come at first, but meditate on that. And the great thing is, great people ask big questions, don't they, of their lives? So most people never ask these questions. What do I really want to do? If I could be abundant in anything, it doesn't even matter if that job exists or not, I could invent it. What would that be? And by just asking that question, your subconscious, when you sleep, will go to work and create your new reality for you. And then understand that you have to take action on that as well. So listen to what your guides or what your intuition is saying and follow that.
That's some very good advice. I'm gonna take that into account for myself. So it's been a pleasure having you on and getting to know you. And I hope you have a good time in your adventures. So that's all for today. So I'll speak with you later. This is Gabriel of Collapsology with Collapsology, recording from Orange County, California. I was just speaking with Robbie Thompson from Australia, off the grid specialist. So you can check out his more information about his classes at Off the Grid.
Off grid living the matrix. Yeah.
Off the Grid, leaving the matrix.
Yeah, Off Grid
Right.
Living the Matrix group, and awakentheancient.org. And I wanted to say thank you for having me on your show, Gabriel, and I'm looking forward to checking out some more of your podcasts.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good one.